Was that Tim Walz? Kamala Harris and Tim Walz want your streets littered with this. Really, guys? Is this what you want your kids looking at? I mean, like, this is what Tim Walz supports. Is this what you're willing to vote for, guys?
You know you've crossed the line when the liberal Washington Post calls you a commie. Check out this headline they wrote. It says, quote, when your opponent calls you communist, maybe don't propose price controls. And even CNN's calling it a gimmick.
Right now, it's the first time in 20 years that a Republican after the 4th of July has had a lead in the polling. Trump with that advantage right now, 3.3 percentage points.
Well, guys, Kamala Harris has effectively lied to us, telling us that, you know, if we vote for her and put her in office, she'll lower inflation. She'll help out with the cost of food, groceries. But the thing is she's been in office for years, 3.5 years, and we've seen nothing but the negative impact of Bidenomics. I mean, look at business owners right now. Businesses all over the country are now coming together to put Kamala Harris on blast for proposing communistic tactics to control food prices. This just doesn't work. And we've seen it in Venezuela. We've seen it in a number of other communistic countries. They're also urging people to vote for Donald Trump because Kamala Harris will put them out of business.
Second is an AP NORC poll out today that shows 45% of Americans, I'm reading from it here, favor Trump's handling of the economy over Harris to 38%. So to your point, there are still Americans who believe Trump would do better at handling the economy, despite the fact he didn't go into too much detail in that speech today.
Take a listen to this business owner here.
Hi, my name is Ishan Khan.
My name is Carlos Codialo from Plainfield Supermarket.
I live in Staten Island, and over 24 years, I own a grocery store, retail grocery store in Brooklyn. And during my this 24 years, I never saw the cost of grocery, bread, butter, cookie, milk going up during the administration of Biden and Harris.
See those shelves back there? We're trying to keep less inventory because it's expensive after the inflation under your vice presidency. Now I go through the store. Yes, we have to have merchandise here for our customers. But if you only knew how this works, and I invite you to come down, we can have you help us enter the invoices into QuickBooks, since you claim that we are price gouging.
Wow, guys. Wow. So here you have business owners explaining the struggles that they're dealing with caused by Kamala Harris's administration. And what we're also seeing are early signs of rationing of foods. And this is only going to get worse under the Kamala Harris, Tim Walz communistic regime.
First of all, nobody can explain what price gouging means. You've seen this kind of thing tried in lots of other countries before: Venezuela, Argentina, the Soviet Union, etc. It leads to shortages. It leads to black markets. The specific way this bill is written might actually increase prices.
Reasonable people would ask, what does that mean? What does that really mean? And how is the government going to be involved in it? Is this just a ploy? Because it sounds kind of like it.
You see this Oreo cookie? I love Oreo cookie. I used to sell it for, my glass used to be $1.50. I used to sell it for $2.99. Right now, this cookie, I'm selling it for $7. Why? Because my cost is over $4. And look, I have only 2 pieces. I used to order cases and cases because the cost of groceries is so much high. I can't afford it.
You can come down. Come on, we'll show you. Here, okay? You see those little price tags there and signs? Okay, those we try to keep as minimal as possible. I can show you an item where just yesterday it had gone up, and if we were to use our industry standard price system, it would have to have gone up about 25, 30, or 40 cents, and we decided to just increase it 15 cents.
I'm requesting to...
And see, what people don't realize is that obviously these grocery stores, they want to make as much money as possible, but they also don't want to intentionally gouge the consumer, because once the consumer picks up on that, they're just going to go somewhere else. And that's the benefit of the free market system. But with Kamala Harris's communistic plan with Tim Walz, they want to control prices. And we've all seen in other countries that are run by communists and socialists that this just doesn't work. And all it does is it makes everything more and more expensive. And this is a stark contrast to what former President Donald Trump wants to do for the United States of America. Donald Trump is a very successful entrepreneur, billionaire, and businessman who, yes, he started off as a millionaire, but he turned it into billions. So I think he understands how the economy works. By the way, guys, if you haven't already, please take a second, hit the like button for the video. I totally appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for subscribing and for also sharing these videos on social media.
People act like we had Trump for the past 4 years and Kamala is coming to save us. We literally had Biden and Kamala for the past 4 years. So is she coming to save us from herself?
Exactly. So if you haven't been happy with your finances for the last 4 years, almost three and a half, almost 4 years, why would you think having Kamala Harris, who is, word salad Kamala Harris, who cannot formulate a sentence, who cannot debate, she refuses to debate Donald Trump. I mean, why would we ever think that Kamala Harris would actually help us or make anything better, or much less save America from what? Her? Save what? Kamala Harris is going to save us from herself?
Two things. I think number one, she took a lot of far left positions during her first run in 2019 and 2020. She has, temporarily kind of moderated these through some anonymous quotes from aides saying, well, she doesn't really want to ban fracking anymore. She doesn't want to do this, doesn't want to do that. This new program that she's kind of doing is pretty far left. $25,000, price controls, essentially. That's number one. But the other thing is, kind of conveniently forgot she was vice president for the last 4 years when a lot of the housing market crisis was at its worst, when inflation was at its worst. So there's a lot of memory holding that. But look, when it comes to the 25K, I mean, you just added $25,000 into every price on every home price in the country. Because if you're giving that away essentially for free, people will add it into the price.
All right, guys, and I do want to take a moment just to thank the sponsor of today's video. Therma Bright Incorporated, the sponsor of today's video, and a company that develops and invests in cutting-edge medical device technologies, recently provided an exciting update on one of its key investments, Insatin. So Insatin is working on a groundbreaking treatment for chronic lung conditions such as asthma and COPD by developing a new way for patients to inhale statins, which could be more effective and could be approved any day now. This new inhaled statin solution has shown very promising results in the lab, and Insatin is now moving forward with preclinical studies, which are the necessary steps before testing the treatment on humans. Take note of the company's ticker symbol on your screen right now. They're on the TSXV exchange under ticker symbol THRM, also on the OTCQB exchange under TBRIF. Therma Bright originally owned 17% of Insatin, but with a recent capital raise, the company has expanded its investment in Insatin through a safe investment plan. This plan means that Therma Bright will increase its ownership at a discount during Insatin's next round of financing. Now, I should note, all investments come with risk. I'm not an investment advisor, and this is not financial advice. Investors should always do their own due diligence. The exact percentage increase in ownership will be announced when Insatin completes its next round of funding. Rob Fia, CEO of Therma Bright, emphasized the potential of this investment by saying, quote, "We expect Insatin to deliver the company and its shareholders great returns with this innovative, disruptive solution for patients suffering from asthma and COPD." End quote. Insatin is now initiating the preclinical studies necessary to get to phase 1 human trials. Now, the potential for this investment is huge. As Biospace News reported, the global asthma treatment marketplace is expected to reach $30.1 billion by 2030, which represents a massive opportunity for Insatin's innovative inhalant solution. Rob Fia highlighted this by saying, quote, "The asthma treatment marketplace alone is expected to reach $30.1 billion by 2030, which shows us a great opportunity opportunity for this space, end quote. In addition to the Insat news, Therma Bright is also eagerly awaiting important news from the Centers of Medicare and Medicaid Services, or CMS. CMS has informed the company that it is close to receiving permanent CPT, or current procedural terminology, and HCPCS, or Healthcare Common Procedure Coding System codes for its VenaWave VW5 device. These codes are crucial because they determine how the device can be billed and covered by insurance, essentially meaning government coverage, which can drastically increase the market size for this product. The CMS code basically means government coverage, so the market size is insane, and the company is anticipating the status of the approval any day now. Now, Rob Fia, CEO of Therma Bright, expressed his anticipation saying, quote, "We're patiently awaiting confirmation from CMS, which is expected in a matter of days, and we plan to make the announcement and all the details around the permanent codes immediately upon receipt of this formal approval," end quote. This approval is extremely important because it could lead to significant activity in the company's stock price, especially given the positive trajectory shown in its recent stock charts. Take a look at the chart on your screen right now. And beyond that, the market potential for the VenaWave VW5 device is substantial. The Centers of Disease Control and Prevention, the CDC, estimates that over 900,000 Americans suffer from deep vein thrombosis, also known as DVT, and pulmonary embolism, also known as PE, every single year. Additionally, research from Research in Markets and Market Digital suggests that the global market for DVT treatments could reach between $1.26 billion by 2028 and $1.554 billion by 2032. In a nutshell, Therma Bright is on the verge of some major developments that could happen any day now. With the pending CMS approval for the VenaWave VW5 device and the expanding investment in Insatin's promising treatment, the company is positioned for significant growth and potential returns for its shareholders. To learn more about Therma Bright, check out their stock on the TSXV exchange under ticker symbol THRM, and also on the OTCQB exchange under ticker symbol TBRIF. All right, so anyway, thank you so much, Therma Bright, for sponsoring today's video. Let's get back to our video.
Conducted by the super PAC Republican voters against Trump found that swing voters don't like Harris. And focus groups conducted by the Democratic National Committee also found Harris rubbed some people the wrong way. So, Jonah, how big a drag is Kamala Harris on the ticket?
Even CNN is now coming out and admitting the truth about the fact that Kamala Harris doesn't have the real support that they've been advertising over the last several weeks, and that it's true. She is the least popular vice president in American history, and she would actually be the worst president in American history if they were to install her.
I think she's a pretty big jag. I think she was arguably Biden's worst political decision. I generally think going into the future that Democrats really should not nominate or front people who come from decidedly all blue states unless they're like once in a generation talents like Barack Obama, because Kamala Harris does not know how to talk to the center or to the right. She only really knows how to sort of speak the language of the base of the party, and that's 34% of the electorate.
Let me pick up on that, because it's not just focus groups that are down on Harris right now. In a recent poll, national poll, 40% approved of the vice president's job performance, while 55% disapproved.
Wow. Even CNN is showing polls that Donald Trump is surging in the polls. Kamala Harris does not know how to run the United States of America. Kamala Harris has had 3.5 years with Joe Biden to run the country, and we've already seen what she's capable of doing. Like, what more evidence do we need? This is horrible. Look at the economy. Look at inflation, guys.
Yes, there was a slow start, but it was a strong finish. And what became very clear through the course of the night is that Joe Biden is fighting on behalf of the American people, on substance, on policy, on performance. Joe Biden is extraordinarily strong. And
on substance and policy and performance tonight, I mean, the president's performance tonight clearly was disappointing for his supporters. CNN is reporting Democratic lawmakers watching the debate were worried about the president's performance. One said it was a disaster. Another called it a train wreck. Those are Democrats especially worried that Biden did not punch back on Trump's lies.
Of course, whether the Harris hurricane lasts is another thing. Kamala Harris is not indestructible. She has served as an undistinguished, nearly invisible vice president. there appears no accomplishment she can point to for her most important responsibility, addressing the origin of the border crisis. Second, she picked a nice guy from Minnesota in Tim Walz, but he might turn out to have as many warts as J.D. Vance. And I don't mean the allegation of stolen valor. He spoke sloppily in that instance, but I don't think there's much there.
Oh, you want to talk about baggage? You want to talk about baggage from Tim Walz? Really, guys?
Vice President Kamala Harris's running mate, Tim Walz, is facing new controversy around his 1995 DUI arrest, specifically how his 2006 congressional campaign explained the incident. Now, according to police records obtained by CNN, a Nebraska state trooper booked Walz speeding at 96 in a 55-mile-per-hour zone. Now, according to that police report, a strong alcoholic odor was detected from Walz's breath and person, and he failed the field sobriety test.
Wow.
Then he failed the preliminary breath test, and he failed the subsequent blood alcohol test when he was taken to a hospital before being booked for that DUI. But now fast forward to 2006, when Walz was running for Congress. His campaign told a very different story. His communications director told a local paper that Walz's arrest was because of hearing loss he suffered in the artillery unit of the National Guard. Quote,
wow, yet another lie from Tim Walz. Can we put this in the same category of the lies like the stolen valor and many of the other lies that have been coming out about Tim Walz?
he couldn't understand what the trooper was telling him during the field sobriety test, and the trooper refused to speak up.
Well, maybe Tim Walz couldn't understand what the trooper was saying because Tim Walz was too drunk. He was too intoxicated. He was drunk as a skunk.
Sean, what do you make of that?
So first, he admitted to being drunk in the plea hearing with the court. We have court reporters that record everything that's being said in court. So we go back to the record, and he admitted that he was drunk driving. By the way, so the legal limit back then was 0.1, and he was 0.128. But today, in most states, I think in all states, the legal limit is 0.08. So he was over 50% above the legal limit for driving. So again, I think it goes back to just Tim Walz is a liar. Whether it was a stolen valor for his military service or here what happened with the drunk driving, be honest with people. Go, you know what, I made a mistake. But
no, Tim Walz is a liar. He would rather lie to us rather than come clean. So who are we really voting for? Who are these people trying to portray? Like, whoever they're putting forth is like a representative for them. This is not who they really are. These are some of the fakest people I've ever seen.
I've never criticized what Tim Walz did when he was in the military. I criticized his retirement decision. And most importantly, Dana, I criticized his lying about his own record, okay? This is a guy who was captured on video saying, I carried a gun in war. He never went to war. This is a guy who's been captured on video. As other people say, he's an Afghanistan veteran. He's a veteran of a war, nodding along in agreement instead of saying, no, I did serve my country and I did it honorably, but I never went to a war zone. I'm not criticizing Tim Walz's service. I'm criticizing the fact that he lied about his service for political gain, Dana. Now, I served in the United States Marine Corps, and you know this. And look, there are a lot of things that I'm proud about. I've never lied about what I did or overstated it because it would be beneficial to me in an election. I think that's what Tim Walz did. That's what I was criticizing. And yes, I do think it's scandalous behavior.
Over his DWI is a real and embarrassing issue. As usual, the cover-up was worse than the crime. It's still too soon to know how much she might regret not picking Josh Shapiro. And third, thus far, Harris has had a free ride. She's not given any media interviews, hasn't faced voter questioning. When asked recently, she said that she would give an interview by the end of the month. She said that on August the 8th. No doubt she wants more time on the clock to prepare answers as to why she's flipped on healthcare, fracking, weed, and the death penalty, to name just a few. Sooner or later, she's going to be held accountable and face pressure that she has thus far largely avoided. Just yesterday, her first substantive economic policy proposal, it received mixed reviews. Bernie Sanders loved it. He called her idea a strong progressive agenda, but the Washington Post said that her proposals were gimmicks. CNN's analysis said that her plan could create more problems than it solves. You'd think that she'll enjoy another week of positive coverage amidst the DNC, which will feature 3 Democratic presidents, but with passions inflamed about Israel and Gaza, there is an air of unpredictability as to what will happen in Chicago. As I like to say, still to come, events we could never foresee and individuals whose names that today we don't even know.
But anyway, I'm not going to keep you guys anymore. I just wanted to say thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for hanging out. Thank you for hitting the like button, subscribing, and sharing this video on Facebook and Twitter. I'll see you guys on the next one.